Does everyone know what time it is? Toilets to Titles is proud to present Title Time. And here's your hosts, Rich, George, and Jason.
All right. Well, look, next year I think we should get that to say Happy Holidays, so it covers New Year's Eve as well. But welcome to the show. Welcome to Title Time. I'm your host Jason, and with me, as always, this is Week 17 edition, by the way. With me, as always, is my brother from another mother, the man after my own librarian heart, George Reed. Good morning, George.
Jason, it is sad to say this, but in a also way, it's kind of nice to say this. This is the season finale of Title Time because we're not doing a week 18. Um, done almost every show together this year. I think I've missed like 3 or 4. I think you've missed like 2. So
Two. Yep.
it's been Andrew almost lost your glasses, which is phenomenal. But no, it's been a great season once again. Absolutely love doing this. Love the fact that we've had um, some great hosts join us throughout the year. We had Rich for the most part until work got in the way. Um, Boycott Frito Lay. This way we can get Rich back here on Sundays, which is more important than what he's doing. Oh, listen, ask and you shall receive. Don't boycott Frito Lay. Rich can get here on Sundays apparently.
Here's the thing, George. I left him in that. I didn't go get another intro because I thought if I left him in the intro, we might be able to get him back. And look, it worked.
All right, so
it's just awesome.
here's the lowdown. I'm actually running 2 sites right now, one here in Oklahoma and one in Texas for this morning, and in about 2-3 hours, then I got to make a drive down to Texas, 5-hour drive for my stay there for the week. So I told my wife I was going to jump on for a little bit to help out and be with my 3 other amigos, man.
Well, so I didn't get to introduce him, but Frito Bandito Rich is on. My son is excited. He's missed you, part of the family. So good morning, Rich. How was? We didn't get to talk to you on here. How was your Christmas? How is your New Year's? It sounds like it's going to be full of work.
Well, first of all, let me start out by saying, Elijah, appreciate you, man. I always love seeing you in the chat. Look, Christmas was great, and I was off for that day. Got to celebrate with the kids. They got everything they wanted. That's the purpose of a dad, to make sure that the family gets what they want. And all I ended up with some underwear and a few things here and there and stuff like that. So not going to complain. I spoiled myself a little bit yesterday with those boots I showed you guys. That was kind of my Christmas present to myself and everything. We won't go any further than that. But yeah, New Year's, look, I got to make the drive down to Texas. So I'll be at a hotel. I'll call my wife and we'll kiss over the phone. So.
Well, it's great to have you on this morning. Glad to be able to get you on for as long as we can have you. I do want to also say good morning to our good friend Justin. I lovingly call him Mom because him and Coach started the show. Started Toilets to Titles. Coach is obviously Dad. Well, we won't get into all that. I don't want to talk about gender roles on the show, but Mom, Justin, welcome to the show this morning. Happy Championship Sunday.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. It's great to be back on. And I just need to know, Frito, is it Raiders underwear?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, so Frito and I have a little bit of a side bet going on for this week's game because his Raiders are playing my Colts. So the loser, for one, the loser has to buy some beer for the winner at Canton in August. So that's going to be nice. But the big one for me is that the loser has to change his avatar on Twitter for a week to the whatever the winner chooses. Obviously, we're going to keep it PG and all that, but it's going to be it'll be fun to see Rich's new avatar for a week after the Colts take care of business this weekend.
Well, I would just say, when I win, I will get very creative.
Like a I Heart Des, or Des was right. I don't know. Anyway, we won't go there. So, you know what else? Something you might not remember, Justin, but you and I have a bet going on right now. Tampa Bay's record versus the Colts record. So the Raiders have a chance to put me ahead too.
I vaguely remember something like that. Yeah.
Bathroom board bet.
Yeah, and I think I also kind of regret making that bet, but we'll see. It's close.
I mean, at the start of the season, we thought the national media thought it would be, us struggling to get 3 or 4 wins. And it's been a much better season than that for both of us. Kind of way more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that was mostly a joke because I also thought that the Colts with AR was only going to get 3 or 4 wins.
Now you've got Minshew mania.
Yeah.
I hope you got a thong to celebrate, but we'll talk about that later. First, I do want to mention, guys, if you are watching this and are not in our Gilded chat, join our Gilded chat. You can go to toiletstitles@gmail.com, send an email to that email address, and we will get you in our Gilded chat, which is getting ready to ramp up for college discussion once the NFL season ends. But currently we'll be talking all things NFL, including playoffs. We're talking about the games. We're talking about your fantasy matchups. We're talking about gambling, anything football related. And actually, there's going to be more in there. Baseball, there's a general chat, everything. We've got everything you could want. There's 200 people in there all the time. The whole team's active inside there. We're the most accessible fantasy football team out there. You can get us pretty much any time of day. I don't know how Coach does it. He's there when I go to bed. He's there when I wake up. I don't think that man sleeps. He's in there all the time, interacting with everybody. So, but we're all in there all the time talking football. So toiletstitles@gmail.com. Also, patreon.com/toiletstitles. You can get into our Patreon chat on Gilded, but it also gives you, there's other great benefits, including weekly giveaways. Like I said, we have a chat in Gilded. When during the season, we have a waiver wire doc that hits Monday night instead of Tuesday. So if you're not part of our Patreon, patreon.com/toiletstitles, please join. We have $1.50 on up. And then Coach Shep says Canton Fun and gave us $5 super chat, which is awesome. Thank you.
All right.
The last thing I want to mention is that we currently have a Raz going for a Michael Pittman Jr. autographed card. And I had it up on Twitter and Twitter reset. But anyway, if you can find out more about it if you're in our Gilded, but I believe it's $10 to join. I'll double check that as the show goes on and talk more about it, but I wanted to mention it. And then also, I do want to send it over to Justin to talk about Title Tribe or the Join Rival, and we can go from there.
So Rival is a new fantasy football, fantasy sports betting platform. And I kind of need to stop saying new, right? It's been an entire season. And they even had some baseball and NBA bets before the NFL season started. So they've been around for a couple of seasons now. So, but this was the first NFL season. And now that the NFL season is coming to an end, they are looking forward to NBA and Major League Baseball bets that you can already find some of on Rival. That's joinrival.com/title tribe is the link that you want to go to. And with that link, you're going to be able to make all sorts of different crazy bets. You can bet $1 bingo cards, which I just now realized I forgot to check my bingo cards from last week because I'm in the finals in a couple of the rival leagues that they offer as well, because they also do full full season fantasy football leagues on Rival as well. But anyhow, you drop your first deposit of up to $200 and they'll match that. Plus, they'll give you an additional $25 just for you using that link right there, joinrival.com/title tribe.
All right, thank you, Justin. And then I wanted to mention Coach Sheps did mention here it's $5 a spot for the Raz. With 20 spots, there's 11 spots remaining. And basically, it's a Michael Pittman autographed USC card. And so if you don't like the Colts, you get them back at college. Go ahead, Justin.
I want to tell Coach, go ahead and give me a number because it's Michael Pittman. I've got to try, and I'm going to be sending him $35 because I also want to cover the playoff league that we have going on. I don't know if that was in your notes or not, Jason, and if so, I'm sorry I'm jumping ahead. But since you brought it up, I just want Coach to know I want him to save me a number because we get a lot of views on this show. I don't want them all to just fill up the Raz. I want a number. So I'll be sending him $35 in the playoff league. It's something that we do every single year. It's $30 to enter. 25 of that's going to the winner. The other 5 is to help support the show. And so the way it works is every single week you're going to choose a set of players, kind of like a DFS lineup. But once you choose them for the playoffs, you can't choose them again for the remainder of the playoffs. So you got to choose wisely, right? So you're going to choose players in the wild card round. And if let's say you choose Gardner Minshew in the wild card round, well, now you can't use him in the divisional round or the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. So you've just used up your Super Bowl quarterback, one of your Super Bowl quarterbacks in the wild card round because he's going to make it, right? No, nothing. Crickets. Oh, okay.
All right. So yeah, absolutely join the playoff challenge. It's great every year. It's money to the winner. It's money to the team here for trips like going to Canton or, the Senior Bowl kind of thing. So we can bring you more awesome content, stuff like that. So, so message at Coach Sheps. Yep. To get in. All right. I do want to mention we've got a couple people here that like Chris's videos, who is out of the playoffs, unfortunately, but wanted to stop by and say hi. Chris's videos is one of the original. It's like a Toilets Titles OG fan. So wanted to bring up Chris's videos there. And we'll get through Bobby Tree saying, good morning, fantasy family. Good morning, T2T crew. Bobby Ham is in the championship. And I do want to mention a couple of notes from our background chat here. One, if you have Josh Jacobs, he is 100% out today. He is not playing. And then also it looks like Sam Howell is going to get the start. Go ahead, George.
Rich, who would be the backup for the Raiders if Jacobs is not? Well, we know he's not playing.
Zamir White, he's a must go. He's a must start. He's had some good games when he's been in there, and he will be the man that they rely on this week. If you remember last week, Aidan O'Connell wasn't efficient last week in the passing game, so they looked to ride him a little. Amir Abdullah will be the third down back, probably the fast pace back. So I wouldn't mind sticking Abdullah in if you need a last minute plug. I would get him in definitely too.
What is crazy to me is I think, and I haven't been able to watch a lot of football over the last couple of weeks between Christmas, my anniversary, my daughter's birthday, everything going on. I don't get to watch as much as I'd like. So I have to rely on, I listen to Around the NFL podcast kind of stuff to catch up a little bit. One podcast told me that Aidan O'Connell didn't complete a pass after the first quarter, and another one said after the first half. So I'm not sure which is right, but man, incredible to think that you guys beat the Chiefs without completing a pass, at least after the first half, but probably after the first quarter.
Hey, it goes to the defense playing lights out. I mean, they have been lights out the last 3-4 weeks. I mean, really holding a lot of teams in check and everything, and it's kind of vice versa of what we've always seen in the past. Is the offense is one that's carrying the team, Now the defenses have been carrying the team, and hence the one reason why Devontae Adams only had one catch last week, which was in the first quarter, and nothing else after that for the last 3 quarters.
Just rough there for I mean, good clean win for the Raiders. Great if you were playing their defense, but who was against the Chiefs? Probably not very many people. But a very, very cool game for your team there. Let's see. Go ahead, George.
I'm trying to find a list of all the players who are out because it is insane the amount of players that we drafted. I say we, but as people who are playing fantasy really in general, in the first 5 or 6 rounds that are not playing this week. I want to find the list because I know it's absolutely insane.
Well, like I know Mostert is out. I saw that report this morning.
Mostert's out. Josh Jacobs is out. Jalen Waddle is out.
Fire up your HM.
Keenan Allen is out. Like, it's just Trevor Lawrence is out.
Also, one big one. Pacheco is in.
Out. Pacheco is in.
Pacheco's in, which means CEH is out now. Well, he's in the game, but he's out of your lineup. That really hurt because I kind of expected Josh Jacobs, after not practicing most of the week, to not play. So I had CEH as a backup plan, and last night had to pivot. And luckily I pivoted to Brandon Cooks, which turned out okay for me. Of course, the other guy had Dak, so not so great. I'm in a deep, deep hole already. But
Amari Cooper, he was out this week. Ramondre Stevenson, he was drafted early. He's not playing. Russell Wilson has been playing pretty great all year considering the landscape of the quarterback position, and he's like a healthy bench. It's just TJ Hawkinson is done for the year. Like, all these guys we drafted so early, and they're just done for the year and not playing. It's crazy right
now. So Kay Shaw, we're gonna get to our first questions here. Kay Shaw says, "I'm in the championships in 5 leagues. Thanks for helping me get there." That's nice. That's 3 more leagues than I made it in. So congratulations. Need a DST this week since I can't trust Eagles, Rams, Texans, Jags, Seahawks. If you don't trust the Eagles, now I have the Eagles ranked the highest of these, but if you don't trust the Eagles, I think the Rams are an absolute pretty decent play this week.
I mean, they're playing better than any team in the NFL. I've been arguing that all week with you guys.
All right, Justin, you nodded a bit. I'm not even gonna. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I do agree that the Rams are a good play here because not only is their offense playing really well, so is their defense. But Tyrod Taylor is an actual quarterback that's leading an inspired team. Like the Giants, as bad as they suck, they actually seem to like be interested in it. Like they're still wanting to at least try to win games, and they're playing pretty well for the most part. So it'll be interesting to see with an actual quarterback, even though he's a backup. I get it. But I don't understand why you're not going to trust the Eagles defense. They've gotten you to this point so far, and they're going against Arizona, so I kind of get it, but they're without Marquise Brown. The run game with Connor, yeah, sure, it's something to worry about, but and then Murray's legs will get them a few extra yards, but I don't know. I'm not too concerned about that passing game. I feel like there's real opportunity for some turnovers there. So I think I would probably stick with the Eagles personally.
George?
I'm going to go with the Rams. They're playing the Giants. Listen, I don't care that Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback for the Giants.
Rams are Tyrod Taylor.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
There is a difference.
They have different names. That is it. That is the only difference.
Tyrod is more mobile, so he'll get more yards, but he also makes more mistakes. Brissett is more of a game manager.
It
So
doesn't matter because they're playing the Giants, and the Giants' offensive line is absolutely atrocious. They've suffered so many
confirmed.
injuries on the line. I don't care. Go with the Rams.
So I'm going to be the one to make this a
Raiders
decision that K-Shaw is going to have to make on his own, because I actually prefer the Texans defense. They're playing against the Titans, who hasn't been playing the best. Tannehill, I know, is not playing. Levis is playing at QB this week, but I just like the Texans D. Look, they're going to be a little bit more pumped up with Stroud and Collins in, so they're going to be really fighting. I mean, they're fighting for a playoff berth too and everything. So I like the Texans defense more than anything. I would stay with the Eagles just to be at the same page as Justin is on. Look, they're going to get some points, but if you wanted to choose, I would choose Texans.
Well, so I said Eagles, but if you don't trust them, Rams, which is it's a cop out, but if you're looking for a pick from this team, I would say use the Eagles. But if you're dead set against using the Eagles and you don't trust them, then to me it's the Rams. So that's if that's how you want to make your decision. Again, I would start the Eagles, but to me the Rams are a good play. But to Rich's point, for me it's Eagles, Rams, then Texans as far as this list goes. And then for their other league, this one's a little tougher, maybe not. Bucks, Falcons, Vikings, or Raiders. We don't even have to go to Rich. I know he wants the Bucks. Sorry, it's the Raiders. Yeah. I would say Raiders. On this list too, I would also say the Raiders. So that's 2. Justin?
Yeah, I'd go with the Raiders as well, because I mean, I don't know why everybody's always in love with Gardner Minshew. He has a very sexy stash and he looks great in those jorts, but he's not an NFL starting quarterback. And just like Rich said, the Raiders have been playing pretty good football. As a matter of fact, I made that bet with Rich a couple weeks ago when I saw on the schedule that the Raiders were coming up, and at that time they had only really played one good game on defense, fairly recently. So I was pretty confident that was just a fluke, because outside of Max Crosby, they don't have anything on defense. But then, just like Rich said, all of a sudden, geez, they're playing incredible football on defense. So they're playing really good right now on defense. And the Colts always find a way to lose the games that they should win. Aside from last season, there was one game. Let me think. Let me try to remember. Oh, yeah. It was the game where Jeff Saturday became the coach all of a sudden overnight. And his very first game as a coach was defeating the Raiders. But other than that, they usually lose the games that they're supposed to win. And really, it's the Raiders, so they should win this. So, they're going to find a way to screw it up and just miss the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Raiders.
All right. And George, you in on the Raiders?
First off, I want to ask Justin, who is the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this week?
Is it not Gardner Minshew?
So he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just wanted to get clarification on that. He's
second.
Nope, he's a starter. You just said it. So I just wanted to get clarification. I was highly confused. I thought for some reason they were going to their 5th string quarterback. But with that said, it's the Raiders. They, for everything Justin and Rich and Jason mentioned, I would go with the Raiders here.
Let me finish with this. Look, there was a switch turned on for the team when Antonio Pierce took over as a coach. But here's another thing that I know some people are talking about it, but they picked up a cornerback off free agency, off of waivers, by the last name Mr. Jones. This dude, ever since he's been on this team, has already had 2 pick sixes and has brought an attitude to this team that everybody thought Marcus Peters was going to bring. Jones is backing up what Crosby's pushing out too. So that's another great ad that they had in this swing where this defense has been taken over.
All right, so we are all going with the Raiders, which is a weird thing to say considering where we started the season. But that team has definitely turned it around and may actually make the playoffs.
And the Raiders right now on the season, I mean, it obviously depends on the scoring format, but I'm in a league where defenses, it's based on ESPN's default scoring system. The Raiders are the 7th best defense in the league on the season. Like they're averaging 10.2 points per game in this league. So even if the scoring format's different, it's going to be at least somewhat comparable. They're still going to be at least top 10 in your scoring for the season. So I mean, even though they've played a lot better these last 4 weeks, they would have had to have had other good games along the way too.
What's odd is the Colts, who are seemingly a not awesome NFL defense, are also a very good DST defense. They're not listed here, but just bringing attention to the Colts, they keep getting turnovers.
Yeah, they and not only that, they get a lot of defensive touchdowns too. It's strange. Like that, it's a bend don't break defense, which is what you want in fantasy football, right? You don't mind that they give up big chunks of yards if they hold them to field goals, and they usually do. And then once in a while, they break off this amazing run back for a touchdown, and then they've scored a ton of points that week. And they don't have very many bad games on defense, except for the last few weeks. Last few weeks have been a struggle. They were ranked in this particular league I'm talking about. They were ranked second just like 3 weeks ago, and now they're sixth right now. So, yeah, it's not looking good for my bet with Rich, is what I'm saying.
All right, K-Shaw says, flex 2 in a PPR, H-An, Flowers, yes. Addison if he plays. For me, it's H-N and Flowers. Those would be my starting two. But I'll let George go second here since it's got a Dolphins player involved.
Well, obviously we're going to go with H-N, right? No Raheem Mostert. H-N's getting the start. He'll end up sharing snaps with Jeff Wilson, but A-Chain for me is an absolute must start in this game. I get it's a tough matchup against the Baltimore defense, but the volume alone should be able to get him to a semi-decent floor for fantasy, especially in your championship game. And then I'm going to go with Zay Flowers here. In 4 games without Mark Andrews, Flowers had 3 games with at least 8 targets, and he scored at least 20 PPR points in those 3 outings. Solid game week 16 at San Francisco with 9 for 72 and a touchdown on 13 targets. He should be heavily involved against Miami this week. The Dolphins are very tough to run on. So the Dolphins are what I believe the Dolphins are going to end up doing. And I think I talked about this on Friday night with Justin and Rich and everybody else that was there at the roundtable. I think the Dolphins are going to sell out to stop this Baltimore rushing attack. Baltimore is one of the best rushing defenses or rushing offenses in the league. Not that their running backs are the greatest. Listen, they're down J.K. Dobbins, they're down Keaton Mitchell. Gus Edwards is the last man standing, and he really doesn't strike fear in the heart of anybody. But Lamar Jackson also assists with that run game. So I think they're going to sell out to stop the run and tell Lamar to try to beat us in our secondary with your arm. So I expect there to be a lot of passing in this game. So I would go with Zay Flowers.
All right. Justin.
Same.
And Rich.
Yeah, A-Chain and Flowers. Obviously, you already talked about A-Chain. Flowers is stepping it up the last 2 weeks. Had a big game last week against the 49ers with Lamar Jackson. He will continue his play this week, too, to have another solid effort.
Well, and then, the Vikings are on their 4th quarterback, so can't play Addison. I do like Warren in this game, but not as much as I like H.N. and Flowers. So
I even somewhat like Addison too, just because of the situation. I feel like it sucks to be down to your 4th, 5th, 17th quarterback, whatever it is. But Addison is a good talent, but it's just he's number 4 on this list because of the given situation.
So like Josh Dobbs, and I know we got other questions, but Josh Dobbs, man, like came out kind of on fire for the Cardinals. Didn't win a lot of games, but came out looking pretty good. Started, got there late, started right away, looked good, and then fell off a cliff. Got traded to the Vikings, didn't even know his team members' names. Came out and won first week against Atlanta. Like, was there for 2 days, beat Atlanta, won a couple of games, was like new hotness. And then all of a sudden just fell off a cliff and now is getting benched for, Nick Mullins and whoever they're starting it. It's just like, I don't get it with that guy. Like as soon as he gets used to a playbook, he gets terrible.
Baker Mayfield.
I mean, he's pretty good with the Bucks playbook as of late. We'll see today. We'll see today against New Orleans. Deep League PPR pick 2, flex 2. Pickens, Shaheed, Douglas, or Osborne. Flex 2 in a PPR. I'm gonna start with Rich on this one. I haven't started with Rich in a while.
I will go ahead and do Pickens, and I'm assuming at this point you're in a championship, or maybe the week before the championship to get into it. I like Shaheed as some big play potential. So depending on what you're looking for, as far as if you need upside, Pickens is going to be based off of last week. Hopefully he's more involved. He might not get those big chunks like he did last week, but maybe more involved. But I do like Shaheed too.
George?
Yeah, I cannot co-sign with Pickens. Prior to week 16, Pickens had only scored 8.8 PPR points or less in 6 of the last 7 games with no touchdowns over that span. I'm not chasing the career game he had against Cincinnati. And listen, it was a great game. But let's face it, if you've been relying and starting George Pickens week in, week out, he has done you more harm than good on the season. So I cannot co-sign Pickens here. I'm not chasing the points. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the team in Minnesota, and I'm going to go with KJ Osborne. No TJ Hawkinson. He's done for the season. Jordan Addison is dealing with an ankle injury. If he misses week 17 against Green Bay, that's going to put Addison at the wide receiver, or I'm sorry, KJ Osborne at the wide receiver 2 spot. Last week against Detroit, Osborne had 5 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. Again, no Addison, no Hawkinson. He'll be opposite of Justin Jefferson, who is going to draw all the attention. Osborne also crushed the Packers in their first meeting in week 8 with 8 catches for 99 yards on 10 targets. And adding to a beat-up secondary, Green Bay secondary, Jair Alexander, their standout cornerback, is suspended and definitely will not be playing. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with KJ Osborne.
Well, and did you have a second one?
2, yeah. Raheed Shaheed, for sure. I was actually going back and forth between the 2. Listen, Jason, you know how bad Tampa Bay secondary is. I don't need to convince you here. He had a solid game week 16 against the Rams, 5 for 70 and a touchdown on 9 targets. Again, nearly double-digit targets. The wide receiving core for New Orleans is all banged up. In a deep league, I absolutely would go with Shaheed going against the 28th ranked defense against opposing wide receivers.
Okay, and Justin.
So let's see, this would have been about a month ago. So pretty much since they've gotten a new offensive coordinator for the Steelers, Pickens has actually been getting targeted. He's actually been getting some receptions, and now with Rudolph, he suddenly has some decent yardage as well. I know it was just 1 week. I know it's hard to chase the points, but I feel like Osborne, in a way, is also kind of chasing the points. I know he's had a couple of other decent games this year, but aside from games with a touchdown, he's been completely irrelevant. And I know I see the situations are very similar to me. Like to me, Pickens and Osborne is very similar, but I feel like Pickens has been more of a steady incline where we're just hoping that Osborne's success continues because of the injury. But also without TJ Hawkinson, let us not forget that there's a very underrated guy that stepped in real nicely for Hawkinson while he was just banged up and just playing minimal snaps, and Josh Oliver. He got a lot of targets. I don't necessarily think that they're just going to shift those targets from the tight end position all the way to a slot receiver. So I think I'm going to lean towards Pickens on this one personally for my first one, even though I think it's really close with Osborne there. And then I'm going to go with Shaheed as well. I just love the matchup. So Shaheed actually would have been my first one. Pickens and Osborne is who I was kind of debating over for that second spot.
So I will go with Shaheed. And then for me, I'll take the cop out answer, but it makes sense. I think Osborne has a safer floor than Pickens, and Pickens has a higher ceiling. And I see Rashid Shaheed and Pickens as a very similar type play. Like either you're going to get a lot or you're not going to get much at all. That's the kind of players they are. Like it's either real boom or real bust. But if you're like me and you've played against in your fantasy now, you've played against Dak Prescott, Brees Hall, and Jerome Ford. I need Pickens and Rashid to have big days in order to catch up, and that's who I'm playing. If you got out of the games that have already played already relatively unscathed or are ahead because you have those players, then I'm okay doing something like a Shaheed Osborne. So it really kind of depends. And if you're so, but for me, like if you need boom, it's Pickens and Shaheed. Though they're both boom players, and that's who that's who I would play.
Does it concern anybody other than me that the Seahawks have held A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and DeAndre Hopkins to 12 catches, 126 yards, no touchdowns the past 2 games combined?
Who say again? Who?
A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, Hopkins doesn't matter to me.
So you're saying the number one wide receiver on the team is getting held down, but yet
the number 1 and number 2. I mean, I don't know who the number 2 receiver for the Titans is. Like, I mean, it's probably somebody irrelevant. But A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and DeAndre Hopkins, 12 catches, 126 yards, no touchdowns for those 3 players combined the last 2 weeks. It just shows you that
the last 2 weeks. I see. So you're just using a really small sample size. I got you.
I'm using the last 2 weeks.
I missed the Devonta Smith one. I thought that was a third player. I thought maybe we at least had 3 weeks, but no, they're 21st on the season against wide receivers. I'm not gonna. Yeah, okay. I'm not too concerned about that.
Okay, I am.
All right. Next question. Next question from K Shaw. Pick 2. Rashee Rice, Travis Etienne, Khalil Herbert, Dallas Goedert. Pick 2. Justin, let's go to you.
Etienne and Rice, and George and I believe Jason. I don't know, but I know 2 of you, and I know George was one of them. Kind of got me to the point where because I kept thinking, there's not going to be any one single wide receiver that's going to stand out for Kansas City this year, and that I was stern about that, and you guys convinced me otherwise with Rashee Rice. I've been starting to pay closer attention. Maybe it was Coach on the main show. I don't know. One or two of y'all convinced me that I need to start focusing more on Rice, and you guys are right. He is the go-to guy. He is the steady Eddie here. He's got the safest floor of everyone here except Etienne, and Etienne is the starting running back in this group. I know Herbert's probably still considered the starting running back here, but I don't like his floor over the other 2. It's actually fairly simple for me here.
Rich?
I'm going Rice and Etienne. Etienne is obviously a must start. Rice. Look, I'm not that big on Rice. I'm not the one that convinced you, Justin, to play him and stuff like that because he's been consistent and stuff like that, which is a good thing. But it's like last week. I mean, a lot of people expected him to have a huge game and everything, and he didn't. Now, obviously, it was defense that he played and everything. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with Rice when they have so many people they could go to and everything. This is going to be a bounce back game for Mahomes. I like them to score a lot, so that's the one thing why I'm choosing Rice. I'm not comfortable choosing Rice, but I will choose him over Herbert and Goddard.
And George.
So I'm going with Rashee Rice. Excuse me. Rich pointed out, he had a down week last week. Didn't perform very well. He only had 11.7 PPR points, which was his lowest total in his past 5 games. So his floor for the last 5 weeks was still double-digit fantasy points. He had his highest target total on the season against Las Vegas with 12. So he was still getting all of the targets for the most part for the Chiefs. He has an opportunity for a big game against the Bengals, who just got abused by George Pickens last week. for a tune of 35.5 PPR points. In fact, number one wide receivers in the past four in their past 4 games, 6 receivers, have had at least 12.8 PPR points against Cincinnati. Michael Pittman, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and George Pickens. Rice could easily have another absolute boom game here. So I'm going to go with Rice. And I want to go ETN because he's got the name value. But as everybody knows who has ETN on their team, he has not been playing very well as of late. And by as of late, I mean like the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm gonna go with Dallas Goedert here. I think the Eagles are due for one of their boom games, and I think Dallas Goedert, a couple games back from his arm injury, I think it's gonna be a good week, and I think he'll get in the end zone for you this week.
I'm gonna go Rice and ETN. I know what you're saying, George. He's been bad. That offense is banged up in general. They've got a backup quarterback. So none of that leads me to think ETN, is going to have a special game. The only thing I can say is he's playing the Panthers. Panthers are worse against the run, unless you're like Atlanta and decide not to run your studs against them. But I think you're going to get a heavy dose of ETN here. So I do think that ETN's in for a big game finally after a stretch of not doing well. So ETN and Rice for me. We missed one of these here, so I'm going to go back to it. And K-Shaw says Higgins, Ridley, Reed, or Lockett. Pick 2. QB is Stroud. How does he do today? I think Stroud, if they're putting him in, he's healthy. I think Stroud's going to have a decent day against a real bad secondary from the Titans. So I think you're safe there. For me, I know they're saying that Chase is going to play, or at least that was my latest update, is that they were expecting him to play. We haven't seen anything today. But I still think Higgins is a good play this week. And I would go Higgins and Lockett for me. Ridley had a big game last week, but he was playing against the Bucks. They have a backup quarterback who got Ridley the ball okay. But my 2 here are Higgins and Lockett, and I'm going to go to Justin next.
I don't want T. Higgins to bite me in the ass again. So this is how he does it. Like, he has good games, and then you trust him, and then he has 4 drops and 2 catches for 12 yards. Or you don't start him and he scores 20 points, or the number 8 seed is going up against you as the number 1 seed in the first round, and T. Higgins has 2 touchdowns against you. I can't stand T. Higgins. All right. It's just, listen, you're in the finals. You need consistency. Yeah, you need the players that have gotten you there. I think in this situation, for me, the easy one is Reed. I absolutely, this man has won me over as a rookie for the Packers. A bunch of incredible games strung together. He's got a nice, safe floor. They're finding ways to get him involved. If they can't get him the ball in the air, they're letting him run the ball. The running backs and Green Bay are always banged up, so he's getting 1 or 2 rushes each week just to get him involved. And then I'm going to go with Lockett because it's your championship finals, and you need that steady consistency. And Lockett is, for the most part, that guy almost every single week. I mean, okay, if I get beat by Higgins, or if I get beat because I left Higgins on the bench, I'm going to feel okay with that. If I get beat because I left Tyler Lockett on the bench, I'm going to feel like I'm an idiot. He's the veteran. I should have put him in there. Like, it's going to be that kind of situation. So I think I would rather have Reed and Lockett in there and probably drop Higgins.
Lockett hasn't been as good as he's been. I mean, look, at this point, I wouldn't drop him because your opponent might pick him up and play him against you. But here's the thing. Lockett hasn't been as great as he'd been in previous years, but he's still, 7 receptions, 70 yards, that kind of thing, week in and week out.
Right.
Less touchdowns than we expect out of him, but still, you can do a lot worse as your second wide receiver. A flex is 14, 15 fantasy points in a PPR.
And Tyler Lockett not having a touchdown since week 10 tells me positive regression's about to come.
George.
Jason, No, I'm just kidding. So for me, this is going to be. I like Higgins. I really do, but I'm not going to play him this week. I'm going to go with Reed, and I'm going to go with Lockett here. I like Lockett for all the reasons Justin mentioned, and I want to go with Jaden Reed. He's been playing absolutely fantastic. Um, the matchup with Minnesota is not the greatest, but it is a divisional matchup. Um, Christian Watson has already been ruled out. Dontavian Wicks, the latest and greatest receiver in the history of receiving receivers, is probably out as well with a chest injury. So that's just going to funnel more targets to Jaden Reed, and I want to be a part of that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't answer the second part of that question with Stroud. I think he's going to put up a top 10 quarterback performance. He'll be a QB1. I think it might be mid to low end, like QB7, QB10. But he's going to have a decent game for you. It's a safe play.
All right, and Rich.
Yeah, look, I'm riding Higgins, even if Chase plays. I know I've been answering a lot of questions in our Gilded chat. Higgins has been brought up a lot. And in some of those, I'm not playing Higgins because of some of the options that they had. And if Jamar Chase was playing, if Jamar Chase was out, I'd 100% be Higgins all. But in this situation, I'm going to Higgins. And I'm going, look, I know Reed was out last week, but I'm not going to let that affect me and everything. When he's been in there, he is getting his hands on the ball. He's getting touches in the run game, on those sweeps, and passing. So I'm going Higgins and Reed.
All right, so that is 3 for Reed, 2 for Higgins, 3 for Lockett. So Reed and Lockett are the ones that we've settled on. Just
Hey,
doing
Jason.
some quick math. Yes, sir.
Can I talk about Stroud real quick? I didn't get a chance to address the other part of the question here either. You want to play CJ Stroud this week. He's coming back from a concussion, so it's not like he was dealing with a hamstring or an injury to his throwing shoulder or anything like that. It was a concussion. Hopefully they gave him extra rest, and all the cobwebs have been cleared, and he's fine. The Titans have allowed 2 of the past 4 opposing quarterbacks to score at least 21 fantasy points, and Stroud has been excellent at home this season. He's averages just under 28 fantasy points in 7 games in Houston, including 4 games with at least 25.5 points, and he hasn't scored less than 18.1 points at home all year. So for Stroud coming back, given the landscape of the quarterback position, I feel like he's a very, very safe start this week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, George. And then, so this is our last K-Shaw question. He did have 5 teams in the championship, so we had a handful of questions from him, which is awesome.
And
Finally,
I want
with
to thank everybody
no
for joining the K-Shaw question answer section of the show.
Finally, with no Mostert, my options are Chuba, Taylor, Zamir White, Chandler, or Eckler. He didn't say how many he needed.
I'm assuming 1 because he said with no Mostert. So it sounds like he's just replacing Mostert.
And I bet that if he needs 2, he's probably going to get more than 1 answer from us.
Yes.
I'm gonna give my. Oh, do I want to give rankings here? I don't know. If it has to be 1, I am gonna play Jonathan Taylor. Justin.
I mean, yes, I agree with that. I want to find a way to get Zamir White in there, though. Hopefully there's 2. If it's just 1, it's almost a coin flip for me between the 2. But Zach Moss is also out, so I would probably go with Taylor because I would play the homer card in that situation because that's a tie regardless for me, pretty close to a tie between those 2. Taylor being the more proven back, but Zamir, man, when he has the opportunity, he's proven he's definitely something special. So, but I would lean heavily. Or not lean heavily. I would definitely lean heavily towards one of those 2. So if you need 2, those are my 2. If you need 1, it's going to be Taylor.
And I'll go to Rich next because it's got one of his guys in there.
Yeah, so love the Raiders, but I'm going Jonathan Taylor. Look, I love Zamir White. Look, he is a good option too. I would love to have him in there, and I've had questions too where he's been part of it, and I would love to have both of them in there. But as good as White has been, okay, let's not forget he had a 60-yard breakout run last week that kind of padded those stats. Okay, it was still a good, like I said, still good performance, and he has been performing good. But you have to go Jonathan Taylor. I have Jonathan Taylor ranked number 3 this week. I know they're playing against the Raiders. They do got a good defense and everything, but that one way you get to the Raiders is through the run game. And I just like Jonathan Taylor a lot this week.
George.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Next question, please.
That game's going to be over in like 20 minutes. If both teams play that game the proper way, like it's just going to be such a fast game. There shouldn't be a whole lot of throwing in that game. And how odd is it that we're just completely overlooking Eckler at this point? Like he's got the best matchup of all of the teams or all of the players involved here. And
he's just been so bad that I can't base my championship off what looks like a guy in decline. If I had to rank them, it would be Taylor, White, Chandler, Chandler, Eckler. That would be my rankings.
And somewhere Chuba Hubbard's like, screw you, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
I hate you too.
Yeah, actually, sorry, I saw Chuba's up the front, so it'd be Taylor, White, Chandler, Chuba, Eckler.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't put Eckler last. He's had some good games, but man, it's disappointing for me. I had high expectations of him this year, and
so did I. I drafted him in Scott Fish, so obvious to see why I was out early. Bobby Ham says, need 2 RBs and a flex half PPR. James Cook versus New England, Swift versus Arizona, Jonathan Taylor versus Las Vegas, Ty Chandler versus Green Bay, Johnson versus at Seattle, Flowers versus Miami. Please and thank you. 2 running backs and a flex. Man, for me, I'm going to say Swift and Taylor at running back, but I saw George shake his head so earlier when I mentioned Swift, so I don't know if you're on the same page, but now you're nodding, so I don't know. You're throwing me off there, George. Go with the running backs.
Have you not seen what running backs do to Arizona this year? Or better yet, have you not seen what Arizona has allowed running backs to do to them this year? You absolutely smash start DeAndre Swift versus Arizona. That is just a sweet matchup. Jonathan Taylor versus Las Vegas. Rich has got him as the number 3 overall running back this week. You smash Jonathan Taylor. For your flex, you smash Ty Chandler against a very bad Green Bay run defense. Start all your running backs.
So you went 3. So I'm Swift, Taylor, and Chandler as well, if we're going to do the flex now. I do want to mention that we've got Nate on the show. He showed up on this New Year's Eve Sunday morning. Good morning, Nate.
Nate.
It says "Let's go, Nate" at the bottom on his name. I see it.
Hey, I got.
Sounds like Coach has my Wi-Fi. Coach, go to a library. I hear that they have great Wi-Fi there.
There he is. Coach, how you doing this morning? Hey, Dad.
Good. I just wanted to chime in. I got bad service, but I wanted to give a shout out to Nate. All right, Nate's in the SFB finals right now. Dang it. So I keep getting cut out, but just give him a shout out. He's already got 90 points. He had CD, he had Dak, he had Ferg. So,
well, there goes Coach.
Hey, now I got a question. I have a quick question. Is that what I sound like on a weekly basis?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh wow.
Pretty close.
Coach, do what I'm doing right now. Either go to a library or steal your neighbor's Wi-Fi.
And when you do come in loud and clear, you're usually talking about the Dolphins, so it's what we hear anyway.
Okay. That's totally fair. Totally fine. I accept
Anyway,
that.
yeah, as Coach mentioned, Nate is in the fantasy finals at the Scotch Fish Bowl. He got a bunch of points because he has a bunch of Cowboys. So we're rooting for Nate. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, so I just logged in. Nate is currently sitting number 4 going into today. So, my
Nice.
man Nate is killing it and might be representing for the team.
So very cool. Now, why don't you answer this question since we still have to solve this one out? I know George answered. I know I answered. Rich, why don't you answer? And I think Justin still has to answer this one.
Yeah, I'm going Swift, Taylor. I'm not going Chandler. I am going James Cook.
All right. And then we're gonna try this again.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry. I was in the garage working out. I was talking to Nate, one of the founding fathers of Toilets to Titles. He's in SFB. He's in the finals. He had Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Jake Ferguson going last night. He has 90 points total. He's got Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne, Devon A-Chain, a bunch of high-ceiling guys. So everybody in the Title Tribe community, today we're cheering for Nate. I know we're all in the finals, but this is our brother. This is a big event. It's the final 50. So go wish Nate good luck. If you're a praying man or woman, say a prayer for Nate, and let's go get the dub.
Right on.
All
Love
right,
it.
right on. Get back to your workout.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, you need it, slacker.
All right. So right now we've got Swift and Taylor are basically in. Justin, why don't you take us home with who you'd put in the flex?
Yeah, Bobby, I also think you need to cook with Taylor Swift.
Okay. So Bob, Bobby Hims is gonna have to pick between Chandler and Cook on your own. Because we split that one 2-2. You can always go ask in our Gilded chat though, because they'll break the tie for us. Also need to decide on a DST: Ravens versus Miami, Rams versus the Giants, Bears versus Atlanta, Raiders at Indy. For me, this is Rams at the Giants. I'm okay with the Ravens as well. If you played them last week against the Cowboys, which a lot of people didn't do, you got a nice gift for Christmas. But I think the Rams matchup is just too good. Two of you looking away. I still got Justin looking at me, so Justin's going to go next.
I still have to go with the Raiders here. I know so the Rams have an incredibly good matchup here. I get that. But they also have a really bad defense overall on the season. And I know they've been playing really well lately, but the Raiders have consistently played pretty well. We talked about this earlier, and their defense seems to be playing on point right now. And yes, he's a backup quarterback. He started the season as a backup. He's the best backup in the league. Definitely one of the best backups in the league. But they're playing against Gardner Minshew has proven that the reason why he lost his starting position is because he's a backup. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders.
All right. Rich.
Yeah, I'm 100% Raiders too. I do like the Rams. Normally, everybody would be saying we're crazy because we're not picking the Ravens, but also remember they do have a key injury on their defensive backside. For some reason, his name's slipping my mind. This guy has been killing it. Yeah, there you go, Hamilton. Been killing it and stuff like that, and he is out. So that is going to be a factor in that game, especially with Tyreek Hill and everything, torching that backfield and everything. So that's the only reason why I'm not choosing the Ravens. Rams do have a good matchup, but look, I'm still sticking with my Raiders.
I might switch. You did kind of remind me of something, Rich, and it's not what your intention was. I think I'm switching to the Ravens from the Rams, and that's because with no Mostert, no Waddle, very one-dimensional. Look, Hill could still torch any team, but I think that makes the Dolphins very, very one-dimensional.
Did you see that? Did you see that look he gave you?
He knows I'm right.
The Dolphins are not going to be one-dimensional, Jason.
All right.
Yeah, they lost both.
Listen, they still have Tyreek Hill. They can pass the ball. They still have Cedric Wilson, who, granted, he's not like this. he's not Jalen Waddle, right? Let's not pretend, he's not Jalen Waddle. He's not. But one of the best things that Achane does is receive the ball out of the backfield. So they'll still be able to pass the ball. Jeff Wilson, believe it or not, is a very good pass catching back as well out of the backfield. And they still have Achane who can run the ball. Jeff Wilson can also run the ball. They're going to approach this game as a balanced attack. I don't think they're going to be one dimensional. Running backs for the Dolphins are interchangeable for the most part. Yes, Mostert has been getting all the touchdowns, but he's also been the one that's been healthy all year. So I don't think they're going to be one dimensional. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be as potent as an offense as they've had all year, but I wouldn't go one dimensional. I think the game is going to be close. I said it Friday. It's going to be 24-21 Dolphins. I think it's a 3-point game. But for the answering Bobby Ham's question, I'm going Rams against the Giants. I absolutely love that matchup. And again, the Rams are playing very, very well right now, and the Giants have a just atrocious offensive line.
Did you really throw out Cedric Wilson's name?
Yeah, I did.
As something to fear?
I didn't say fear. I said capable. He's a capable wide receiver. Like, if we're really going to tell people KJ Osborne, like, he's on that level. He's not Jalen Waddle. I thought I made that specifically clear when I said he's not Jalen Waddle. But okay.
Well, I mean, 4 for 52 is his ceiling this year.
Okay.
Which is great.
He's been playing almost every game this year with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
I mean, that was literally the second game of the season. Last week was 3 for 42 and Waddle was out most of the game. I'm just saying,
Waddle played the whole first half.
Okay, so out half of the game.
He's capable. What do you want him to go out, Jason? What do you want Cedric Wilson to go out and do? Have 300-yard games? That's not going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to go out and have a 100-yard game. I said he's capable. I think he needs in the NFL. He needs more than 4 receptions for 50 yards. That is a capable wide receiver.
I think he needs that or more for them to have a shot this week. If you're throwing his name out as your wide receiver too against the best team in the league, I think you have to do more than that. But okay,
but you don't, because you can rely on your defense. It's not like Miami has a bad defense and their defense is going to give up 40 freaking points. They're not. They have the number 5 defense in the NFL. You know who the number 1 sack team in the NFL is? It's the Ravens. Do you know who the number 2 sack team in the NFL is? It's the Dolphins. You know what separates them? 2 sacks. Let's not pretend that the Dolphins have a very bad defense. They don't.
We could keep going on this a while if we wanted to, but we've got some other questions to get to.
It is entertaining. It is entertaining.
It is, but we only have 27 more minutes. We haven't talked about New Year's resolutions yet or what we got for Christmas. So we're going to get through some of these questions. Let's see. We got the media studios. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy Sunday. Love you all. Good luck. Thank you, Bobby.
Sorry I had to do that.
No, I appreciate it. Eckler or Zeke in a full PPR? I'm just going to make this painfully quick. I'm going to take Zeke. He is their offense.
Yep.
Yeah, I bet
everybody nodded.
I bet the Cowboys are wishing they still had Zeke.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody nodded except for Justin. I'm going to see if Justin agrees or disagrees.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think this is a tough one. Because I still really love this matchup for Eckler. It's just a matter of whether or not I trust the coaching staff, and I just for Eckler, and I just don't think I do. But at the same time, he is facing Denver.
Denver might have given up. So I'll make both cases, right? So Denver may have given up because they're benching Russell Wilson about a next year contract issue. And it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I understand why they're doing it, but the front office has signaled to the players they've given up.
And Eckler scored 21 fantasy points PPR just 3 weeks ago against Denver as well. And I know that Elliott has been playing really well. He's proving that he can still be a running back in this league. He scored 21 last week against Denver. So they both scored the exact same amount of points against that team. It's just that Zeke is playing against Buffalo, and Eckler didn't do so hot against Buffalo. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Eckler here. I'm gonna go ahead and trust him another week. He's had a lot of 20-point games throughout the season, even though he's had a lot of single-digit games as well. It's kind of a boom or bust situation, but I think that given the situation that you're in with the options that you have, he just has such a good matchup. I can't pass him up. So there's always a chance that the Patriots fall flat on their face too. Like they've done that a lot this year too. So give me Eckler in a game where I think that the Patriots may have to throw the ball a little bit more than the Chargers will have to.
Oh, let's see. We've got Coach saying go Dolphins. My son says he wants to join, but he can't. He also wants to donate, but Bud, your money would be my money, and then I'd just be donating to my own cause. So we're okay there.
Keep at him, Eli.
Let's see. Going through this. Oh, there we go. Mini Jordan 718 full PPR. Choose 3. Kamara, Mixon, Cook, Kyron, Achan. Rich wants to go look at Rich put. Look.
Hey, can we go to Rich first?
Let's see. We'll go to just no. Go ahead, Rich.
I'm not taking that away from him.
Hey, I'm going with the last 3. Cook, Kyron, A-Chain. Kamara's dealing with some issues as far as I think he's sick. I think he's getting that bug that everybody has. So don't know what kind of performance he might have and everything. Mixon, I'm just staying away from him. Yeah, I just love the last 3. I mean, look, Kyron is McCaffrey 2.0. I mean, he's been stellar and everything, and he might be right up there with McCaffrey if it wasn't for the few games that he missed and everything. So he has been killing it all year, and he's probably on a lot of championship teams that are playing this week and everything. So A-Chain, look, with Mostert out, man, fire him up, man. I love him and everything. And then James Cook, look, I know a lot of people might not be big on James Cook. They are playing against the Patriots, if I'm correct and everything. But look, he's going to get it done in the receiving game too this week. So those are my 3 options.
All right. So after that large waving, I'm going to go ahead and go to Justin next. Since
actually, I think Kyron Williams is the deadlock because just as Rich said, he's almost right on pace with CMC for the most part if you go by average points per game, except CMC does have a few more touchdowns along the way. So I think he's right there, especially since the Rams as a whole have also been playing better than the 49ers. But then I'm going to go with James Cook next. So where it becomes tough for me is, do I want the volume of Achan, knowing that aside from that one huge game that he blew up, like I know he's going to get all the opportunity, and I know he has a solid floor, but so does Mixon. Mixon has almost all the opportunity. He has a solid floor. And Achan has a very tough, difficult matchup against that Ravens defense. So it does make this decision tough for me, and definitely agree with Rich that we need to throw Kamara out right out the gate. He's also, on top of dealing with whatever illness, he's also got a really tough matchup too, and he's not played super well of late. So I think I'm gonna fall in line with Mixon on this one. I'm gonna go with Mixon, Cook, and Kyron as my 3.
George.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the short version of Cook, Kyron, A-Chain.
Yeah, I think I'm going Cook, Kyron, A-Chain as well, and bench Kamara and Mixon. So,
and I don't hate that. I really don't.
Here look, Justin. I'm not big on Mixon. He has been solid and everything, but what makes this, even though we're saying A-Chain is going to have a tough matchup, is it's full PPR. He's going to catch some balls out of the backfield, probably more than what Mixon is, and that's one reason why I like him more.
I mean, Mixon averages 4 catches a game. That's actually pretty good for a running back.
It is not bad at all. I worry about that matchup against the.
I demand satisfaction.
I'll take it. You send it to me. I'll take it.
I am challenging you, sir, to a duel.
Sir, your challenge is accepted.
I accept. Now.
All right, so
I thought that was appropriate for those two going back and forth on that one.
Yeah.
So that sound is our joinrival.com challenge of the week. Every week we make a bet, $5 bet between two players. It's one of the things you can do on joinrival.com or on Rival Fantasy Sports, where you can pit two players against each other. Whoever gets the most points, the person who bets on them wins the challenge. It's kind of like the old bar bets you used to have with your friends, except now you can force them to actually pay, and you don't have to wait till you see them again. It just comes right out of your account. So this week will be Mixon versus Achan, and Justin will send that over to Rich, or Rich will send it to Justin, whoever. All right. The next one, Mini Jordan says Stroud or Field. I have to go by my rankings, although Stroud wasn't necessarily in when I did my rankings, but with Fields' running ability, he has a safe rushing floor to me, so I have Fields in this one. And Rich, looking at your rankings, and again, Stroud, when we made these, and Stroud hadn't cleared concussion protocol yet, so maybe it's different now that he has, but you've got Fields in there and Stroud not. So you with Team Fields?
Yeah, I'm still gonna. Man, if I knew Stroud was playing, he'd probably be in there. But let me. If I'm
You
looking
got
at
him
my
7.
rankings
You got
right
Fields
now,
7.
yeah, I'd probably have still of. They're even. So with that being the case, look. Because the only reason why is because I still have Fields in there and I don't have Stroud. I know Stroud's playing everything. I'm going Fields.
All right, George.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Justin Fields. Week 16 against Arizona. We talked about how bad Arizona is on defense already. But Fields got back on track with 26 and a half fantasy points. He did a lot of that really with his legs, with 97 rushing and a touchdown. The Falcons have faced 2 rushing quarterbacks this season, Joshua Dobbs and Kyler Murray. And both have scored at least 12.6 fantasy points with just their rushing production alone. Fields is averaging 26.4 points in 4 home games this season. I'm going to go with Fields here. I think the floor is a lot safer, and I honestly think the ceiling is just as high as Stroud.
And Justin.
I'm going to go with Stroud. Stroud's averaging 5 points more per game than Fields on the season in games that they've played. So if they were playing the entire full season, Stroud would likely be a top 4 fantasy quarterback right now, and Fields would be hovering around that mid QB2. Their matchups are very similar. Stroud has much better weapons. Even if he's missing 1 or 2 of them, he still has much better weapons than Fields does. With the similar matchups, I think I'm going to go with Stroud on this one.
All right, that's 3 for Fields, 1 for Stroud. Justin definitely pulled off the Jason there.
Yeah, but not intentionally. I was going to go Stroud the whole time. I promise.
Mini Jordan 718, full PPR, choose 1. Dubs, Noah Brown, JSN, Pop Douglas, Curtis Samuel, and Robinson from the Rams. We will go with George first.
I'm a huge fan of Pop Douglas. Been a big fan of his all season, especially in PPR. This is a full PPR league. I'm going with Pop Douglas here.
Can we look up what his highest point total is? Because I thought as of last week it was something like 14 points.
I'll look
okay. And then while you're doing that, Frito.
Yeah, dude, I'm going JSN. Noah Brown could be a potential because of Nico Collins being back and everything, so the attention gets taken away from him. Pop Douglas, I know. Look, George 100% has been on him 100% all year long, been pushing him and stuff like that. I haven't watched enough of him to go that route. JSN, I want to keep seeing them getting him more involved towards the end of the season and stuff and going into the playoffs. So I'm willing JSN to have 20 plus points because I need him in a couple of leagues. So that's my choice.
And Justin.
I'm kind of still looking up some of these guys. Holy crap! What options are you dealing with here? But honestly, I think I'm going to go with Demarcus Robinson. He's going up against the Giants, 27th against wide receivers overall in the season. He's consistently been playing well, even when Kupp and Puka are both out there, because Kupp and Puka are both kind of dealing with injuries in any given week. And he seems to be a safe guy that Stafford trusts when he absolutely needs that big player, when he absolutely needs that first down. He's been a pretty safe target. I will say the thing that scares me about Demarcus Robinson is that he's gotten a touchdown each of the last 4 weeks. And where most analysts would tell you he's now the red zone guy, go for him. I'm going to tell you a guy like Demarcus Robinson that rarely ever gets 4 touchdowns in a season to get 4 in the last 4 weeks, 1 per week, like exactly 1 every single week, tells me that there's going to be some negative regression here, and he probably won't get that touchdown this week. So because of that, I just kind of talked myself out of it. As much as I want to go Demarcus Robinson, I think I'm going to stick with Noah Brown, who was my first initial thought, the first guy that I wanted to kind of roll with the opportunity there. I just said I like Stroud this week to be, a mid to mid-low level QB1. I think it's going to be solid offense there, and Noah has the opportunity to continue to step in and play well. I think he's going to have a big game. So if one of them is likely to get a touchdown, it's the one that has the better opportunity mathematically with the positive regression, which would be Noah Brown.
So just as a heads up, Justin, when you say regression, you don't have to put negative in front of it because regression typically is negative. You said negative regression. I know you mentioned positive regression, but like you have to say positive regression because regression typically means negative. So I'm just saying.
Right, but since I was about to talk about the positive regression for Noah Brown, I felt like I needed to, the other way around. Plus,
you probably should join. You should probably join George in the library.
No, here's the thing, though. It's not about the exact definition. I get it. You're right. I agree with you. But when we're talking about fantasy football, other people may not realize that Robinson's had a touchdown in each of the last 4 weeks. So they may not necessarily realize that when I say regression, I mean that as a bad thing or a good thing. So I feel like it's important if they don't have the stats right in front of them for themselves, which they may not because they're asking us for advice. I need to let them know.
So I'm also glad you switched to Brown because I was going to say Brown and then we literally would have all had different answers. So that's going to be 2 for Brown. I'm going to say Brown. George, did you get those numbers on Douglas?
Yes, I do. What numbers do you need?
Well, I just what his like max points in a PPR.
14.4. That was week 10 against Indianapolis, where he had 9 targets, 6 catches, 84 yards.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, has he done? I mean, I'm just like
he's had since week 7, which is where he really started to become a thing in fantasy. He's had 5 games of double-digit fantasy points, and 5 of the last 7 games he's played, he's been in double digits.
Okay, not bad. I just like I said, I hadn't seen a total ton of points, and I talked earlier about Zeke being that whole offense. So, Rich, you got your finger up.
Yeah, real quick. With what George was saying. Look, I have not followed Pop Douglas much, but look, I'm gonna tell you a key to winning fantasy playoffs, season and everything is you want to get players that consistently score double digits. It doesn't have to be 25, 24, but if you get 4 players that are always scoring double digits, and then you have your 3 studs that are gonna go off and stuff like that. That's what it takes. That's a winning lineup right there. So the fact that Pop Douglas is consistently scoring, look, he is an option to have in your lineup because that's what you need. You want floor of double digits, and if he's giving you that, that's the perfect play right there.
Yeah, it's not about having the guys who are going to go out and put up big boom weeks every week because those are very few and far between. You're not debating on starting those guys. What you want is the guys who are not going to cost you the championship. And if you can get guys in your lineup who consistently week in, week out are giving you double-digit fantasy points, they're not costing you the week, and therefore those guys are extremely important for your team.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. We got Joe Clark checking in. Good morning, Joe.
Joey.
And we got Wyatt checking in as well. Good morning, Wyatt. And Steven. Good morning, Steven. How about them Cowboys? I don't know, man. Like that, the end of that game was wild.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like. Without getting into it too much, I don't know what number 68 went and said to the official right before that play if he wasn't reporting. Did he just go and ask him about his Christmas Eve plans, or?
No, he was asking what they were doing for New Year's because Christmas has already had passed.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's right.
What they were doing for New Year's Eve.
If you have not had a chance to watch Justin's little short this weekend, it was all a distraction.
It was.
It was all a distraction.
It was.
Let's see. Yeehaw. And how about CD Lamb? You dodged a bullet. Let's see.
Yeah, except that I had Dak in 2 games going where I was excited about his game just to find out I was going against CD Lamb in both of them.
Well, just like in my final, I had to pivot off CEH and threw Brandon Cooks in there just to realize I was playing against Dak.
Yeah.
So it helped a little bit, but when CD Lamb goes off like he did, it doesn't help at all.
Right.
Let's see. Dustin, Happy New Year, guys. Best of luck. And still fighting the good fight. Yes, sir. As always.
I'm actually playing Dustin in one of the rival to get into the playoffs this week. So, Dustin, good luck, man.
To get into the playoffs?
Yeah, our playoffs is next week.
So it's only a one. Gotcha.
Sorry, just checking to see. We're getting a bunch of chat, but I'm checking to see if we have any more updates on players like Chase, that kind of thing. I mean, they say he's probably going to go, but I want to see something definitive. But we got Chloe Hustler saying hi.
Hello.
Komet, if he plays, worried about re-injury, pivot to Kraft or Everett. I pivot to Everett here.
I do as well.
Amazing matchup for Everett. I worry about Komet if he is actually playing but goes out like in play 2, has a re-injury and you're out of him for the whole game. So for me, I think Everett's a solid play and he's got a good matchup. I think the number 1 matchup for tight ends. So Everett for me.
Yeah, same here. Everett for me.
Kraft is tempting because of what you guys were just talking about with having those role players have double digits. He's had like 3 or 4 straight double-digit games since Musgrave went out. But this matchup is just too sweet for Everett. You can't pass that up. So I see the temptation here, but I agree with you guys. I got to go with Everett.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in 2.
No Josh Palmer. It's Everett.
Yeah.
Stephen Varner, I'm in 2-week week 17 and 18 championship. Superflex PPR, need 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 2 flex. Barkley, Zamir White, Puka Nacua, Robinson, Douglas, Shaheed, Noah Brown. So 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, 2 flex.
Right.
I'm just gonna make this easy. I'll make it easy for me. I'm gonna do Barkley, White, Nacua, and Shaheed. Those are my 4. George, you were going to go?
Yeah, I'll go Barkley, White, Nacua, and we talked about Pop Douglas, about getting the double-digit fantasy points, how, those are the guys you want in your lineup. Would it surprise you if Shaheed went out and put up 4 fantasy points? Absolutely not. He's 100% boomer bust. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Pop Douglas. You've got enough boomer bust in your lineup, obviously with Nacua, because he can go out and have a bad game any given week. We don't expect it, but he's had stretches where he's been pretty bad. So take the safe floor with a guy like Pop Douglas.
Rich.
I second George.
Justin.
Barkley, White, Nacua, and Noah Brown.
You would.
All right, so that's 2 for Douglas. Everybody's basically set 2 for Douglas and then 1 for Shaheed, 1 for Noah Brown. So let's see, 2 quarterbacks. Stafford, Purdy, or Love. For me, it's just the first 2. I'm going to play Stafford and Purdy, and I'm going to bench Jordan Love.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Chloe selling us on some graphics, and we'll skip that one. So, PJ says Chandler or Flowers in a PPR. We'll start with Justin.
Man, I don't want to bench Flowers, but Chandler does have a sweet matchup. I think Ty goes to the running back for me in most situations. Oh, I really love Zay Flowers though. But yeah, I want the consistency. If I'm in the finals, I want the consistency here. I want Chandler as the running back. He's got the safest floor just because he's a running back. So if you need big points, maybe go after Flowers, but I'm just not. Even then, yeah, I'm going to go with Chandler.
All right, Rich.
And I'm firm.
I am firm too, but I'm going Flowers. Flowers. Look, like I said, Flowers is a solid choice. Chandler, he's been solid and stuff like that the last week or two. Madison is going to get some touches and everything. Flowers, I just look at PPR. Man, he has been killing it. And I think he's going to be a big factor in today's game. So I'm going Flowers. You said you needed this one. So I'm thinking you're thinking high ceiling and everything. Zay Flowers is high ceiling.
George.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like Justin on this one. I'm ambivalent about who I want to choose here because I do like both Ty Chandler and Zay Flowers. I'm leaning Ty Chandler. The Packers have allowed running backs to score at least 12.1 PPR fantasy points in 5 games in a row, with 6 total touchdowns over that span. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ty Chandler, but it's very close. I am torn.
Well, and they're giving up 21 points total to running backs each week, and we haven't seen any other running backs play well for the Vikings. So the bulk of their points are going to be Ty Chandler. So I'm going to say Ty Chandler over Flowers too, although I do like Flowers. So, but it does go to the runner. Let's see. Adding to the stage.
Yeah, so this is a bet that Neil Maligno sent to me on Rival. And he's forcing me to take Gardner Minshew on this one. Like, I don't like either quarterback in this situation, to be honest with you. Like I said, I think it's going to be a run-heavy game, but he's our sponsor. I can't make him mad, right?
Oh, I'd make him mad on this one.
Can we just not gloss over the fact that Neil and Justin are throwing out big dollar $25 bets? Like that.
No.
That was just that was a low key flex on Justin's part, and and you notice it had his balance up at the top. He's like, "Yep, look at my balance up here. That. I've got over $500. I'm rolling in the Rival money, and you could be rolling in this Rival money as well if you went to rival.com/Title Tribe and joined."
All right, so guys, it is
a high dollar bet, and I responded by doing this. I clicked on the 5 and hit place bet, which is what I was going to do to Neil if I take this bet. I'm not betting $25 against him. I'm just talking about the bet itself, George.
Boys, I took a $25 bet this week. You should as well, Justin. You should.
Boys, it is 12:30 here, so we've got a couple questions. Let's get through these.
I'll go
10. Or keep talking about Rival, whichever you want to do. It's fine. David, which I believe he's a new Gilded member this week. Yep. He's joining us here.
No. David was on our Friday night show with us.
Okay.
He's a patron.
And he's been a Patreon all season. We met him in Canton. He was you guys don't know him as much because you guys didn't go on that last night to Jerseys with us to do the Guillotine League. that he's in, and so he's actually been a huge supporter all year. He did awesome in Frank this year. He made it to
That's my bad. I think this is the first time I've seen him ask a question on a Sunday morning.
That's
then.
probably right. That's possibly
probably
right.
why.
He's
That
a
is
smart
true.
guy. I don't see why he needs advice. So
That
you're
is
probably
true.
right.
And if you guys don't remember, he was one of them that won one of the drawings from a raffle. He actually won the replica Lombardi
Mike Irvin.
trophy.
Yeah.
Well, so look, I couldn't have been more wrong about him being new. That much is plain. Let's move on from that.
Let's stop rubbing it in Jason's face. Give him a break, guys. Jeez.
Come on, guys. We got to get through these questions. Justin, go ahead here. Khalil Herbert, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle. Pick one flex.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot there was a question here. I'm
Seems
gonna
like
go,
that kind of morning.
Let's go Khalil Herbert.
George?
I'm going to go with George Kittle, knowing
George
that
Kittle here,
Washington is missing almost its entire starting secondary.
And then Rich?
Kittle.
Oh, that sucks because that's going to be 2 for Herbert, 2 for Kittle. But the problem I have with Kittle...
It's fine. David can make the decision. The guy is very knowledgeable to make the decision based off of what we've given him. So he's going to make the final decision. So
we haven't given him anything but names.
I mean, considering he's been around forever and I've known him like a brother for years, he should be fine to get this on his own.
I just don't see the 49ers needing to throw the ball a heck of a lot in this game.
That's my problem is when they do throw the ball, there's a ton of weapons there, and they don't have to throw the ball in this game.
Yeah. David, Jason, and Moses, they've all been hanging out for decades and centuries.
With toilets and titles. All right, YB says, what's up, y'all? Can I get your help? Actually, I'll jump to his question since we're doing that. Gotcha. Start 3, half PPR. Ridley, Collins, JSN, Thielen, Noah Brown, DeMarcus Robinson, and Judy. Lot of names there.
I'll make this short and sweet for me because I know we're trying to move on. It's going to be Collins, JSN, and you don't play Noah Brown because you do have Collins in there. So the fact that that's the case, I am going Ridley.
Yep,
Justin, you
absolutely nailed it because I wanted to go Noah Brown like I have been, but you can't bench Collins. You don't want to start both. And JSN was my definite number 2. Ridley was the guy I was battling with Noah Brown, and just like Rich said, you can't start both. So I'm going to go with Ridley as well.
George,
and I'm going to go with Nico Collins, JSN, and Noah Brown because I don't see why you can't start both.
Because for me, it's because I know he's going to have a decent, solid game. Stroud. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to have a great game. Like I feel like he would have to have, like, to see 2 wide receivers from the same team have a really good game. Usually things just have to fall just right. He's got to get them both a touchdown. For them,
and I wouldn't have an issue with it if it was Tank Dell, but not Noah Brown.
Yeah,
Tank Dell's not playing.
So I think for me, I'm going to take Ridley. And not tie this up. I'm going to take Ridley, Collins, and JSN. The reason I'm going to end up going Ridley here is you've got CJ Beathard who might hyper target their only decent wide receiver left. So it's between him and Evan Ingram with all the receiving or most of the receiving work, with Zay Jones being out and Christian Kirk still being out. So for me, it's going to be Ridley, Collins, and JSN. Wyatt says Purdy or Stroud.
Purdy.
Yeah,
Purdy don't let here too, Wyatt, and I'm sorry about the golf decision I gave you.
Let's see, we've got a Let's Go Nate, half point PPR. Oh, did we get back to that question I skipped? Hang on one second. Sorry. David also says Chark, Dubs, or Otten in the flex.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's gross. Justin, you said ooh, go first.
Probably Chark, but I'm trying to look up something real quick.
While he's looking up, I'm going Dobbs.
Yeah, I can go Dobbs. It's pretty close there for me, and Dobbs has more recently done something in the NFL, so we'll go with Dobbs.
I will take Dubs just because it's the highest over under of the week and the best second best matchup for wide receivers. Jacksonville's the best.
So I know
three,
Chark had a huge game last week. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just saw it. I know he had a big game last week, but I feel like that's chasing points. So I just wanted to solidify my Dubs pick here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Dubs for me as well, George.
Yeah, I'm going DJ Chark, and here's why. It's a revenge game, and nobody enjoys the revenge game narrative more so than DJ Chark. 2022, with the Lions, he faced the Jaguars in Week 13, caught 5 passes, 98 yards on 6 targets. Then this season, Week 5 at Detroit, Chark caught 3 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. Last week, as previously mentioned, he had a big game, 6 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 8 targets. It also helps that the Jaguars are number 9 in most fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. If you're looking at guys where the options are gross, give me one that's at least got a history of doing something positive in those revenge narratives.
All right, let's see. Question. Steve Varner. Semifinals, Standard League. Who to drop to meet roster limits and allow waiver moves? You got to drop one. Rashee Rice, Pittman, Collins, Nakua, or Reed. Playing 3 of the above, would you play Barkley over any? Rashee, you got to drop one.
So I'm not worried about dropping and somebody else picking up. It is the semifinal, so I guess the guy you face in the championship could pick him up. So maybe we do need to worry about that.
I mean, I guess I probably drop Reed here.
That's who I would drop.
Man, I love Reed, but yeah, I guess it would be Reed. I hate to.
And then would you play Barkley over Rice, Pittman, Nico Collins, or Puka?
No.
And then also, I guess he's saying he's playing 3 of the 4. So who do you bench? Rashee Rice, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, or Puka Nakua?
God, this is getting tough. Maybe Pittman, just because he's coming off of the injury.
That's what I was going to say.
That's where I lean as well. Okay, so I think we solved that one.
Damn, Steve, that's a good team.
Wyatt says Ridley or Myers, wide receiver 3 PPR. I think I play Ridley. Sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I said go Ridley too. I'm worried about Myers and stuff like that after the game last week. I just don't know what kind of throwing options that Connell's going to have. So I would go Ridley, kind of like what you said earlier. Beathard might lean towards Ridley and Ingram. So
let's see. Oh, sorry. Ridley, and then George.
I'm curious if that's Jacoby Myers. If it is, I think I go Ridley.
I'm pretty sure
that's how I read it.
That's who I was assuming it was. So
yeah. Wyatt says Happy New Year's, everybody. Pete giving us the 99-cent super chat. Dustin, Flowers or London? Flowers for me.
Flowers.
I love London, but I can't have him goose me in championship week. Pete passed on Metallica tickets to be at the expo with us, so you're welcome, Pete, for making you miss Metallica. Zach Fogel says
I wouldn't do that. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, I've never seen Metallica. They are one of my favorite rock bands. There's no way in the world I would pass Metallica tickets for the expo. What I would do is I would go to Metallica, watch them, and then the next day come to the expo a day or two late.
I think Pete's going to be highly disappointed when he finally meets us in person.
I think so too.
I mean, you guys know me. I disappoint everybody.
I've met us, and I'd be disappointed. Zach Fogel's got a real tough one here, guys. Derrick Henry, Zamir, or Connor? Start 2.
Not tough for me. It's going to be Zamir and Connor.
Yep.
Yes, I was about to say this is not that hard, Jason.
Yeah, I agree.
Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Man, it is tough for me, but I'll say Zamir and Connor. And oh, you know what? I can Jason here, right? But I'm
Yes,
gonna
you
say
can.
Zamir. I'm gonna say Zamir and
I
Connor.
was curious to see which of the other two you were benching.
Hey, just
No,
throwing
that's
this out there. Week 15, Derrick Henry played the Texans' run defense at home, and Houston shut him out completely with 16 carries for 9 yards and 4 catches for 1 yard on 4 targets. Texans haven't allowed a running back to rush for more than 56 yards in their past 5 games, and that's guys like Travis Etienne, who we talked about, has been disappointing. Javonte Williams, Brees Hall, Derrick Henry, and Jerome Ford. Only Ford and Kareem Hunt scored touchdowns over this man. It's easy to bench Henry this week. Sadly,
all right. And then
I've got him going in championship games all over the place, and yeah, I'm going to lose those.
And then there was some confusion down at the bottom for YB. I know we did answer this, and the bulk of us said Ridley, Collins, and JSN. I just want to make sure, because YB did ask the question, I wanted to make sure he saw that we did answer, and that the majority of us said Ridley, Collins, and JSN. And I think that does it for championship week. I'm just taking, there's a lot of stuff down here at the bottom. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any. It doesn't look like I missed any. So with that, I want to say Happy New Year to all of you. It is it's a very busy time in my world here with birthdays and anniversaries and whatnot. Oh, we did get one more question, and then we'll close it out, because I know
I think this is the Alex O.
It is.
Alex.
What's happening, buddy?
So Zamir White, Zeke, B-Rob Dubs, already starting Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft. So I'm assuming just 1.5 PPR.
Zamir White.
Yeah,
I'm going Zamir White here.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. It's tough. It's a tough decision with Zeke, but yeah, I like Zamir.
Yep, absolutely. I'll take Zamir. With Zeke as a close second, but Zamir for me. And that's going to close out the show. Where we are going to close this out now.
He's been waiting all year. Dustin has been waiting all year for this opportunity.
I do want to say, and I'm going to double check to make sure we don't get any last minute news. I don't have any on my phone there. So I do want to say thank you guys for following us all season. This is the last Title Tribe of the year. If you do there, I know we had at least one question where it was a 17-18 split, 2-game final. You can reach us on Twitter. You can reach us on our Gilded chat if you need questions for next week. But, there's very limited number of Week 18 championships, so we won't be here next week to do this. So I do want to say thank you to everybody who's watched us and taken our advice and chatted with us when we were a little slow. We had questions. You guys always had great answers that we could talk about, which I loved. What we do from here, we'll probably switch to a Sunday night show at some point, like we did last off season, to talk about news and fantasy notes and any kind of information like that. And so we will get to that in the off season. But again, I want to say thank you to everybody who's watched the show, contributed to the show. My son, for sure, because he doesn't play fantasy football, but has become the world's biggest Title Time fan. He's even got a sticker to prove it. I want to thank Rich and George, who are my co-hosts on the show, and then obviously Justin, who comes on the show not every week, but as many weeks as possible, and covered for us when we had toys. When we had Toys for Tot shopping, and when we went to the 49ers game, because George's new favorite team. So I do want to say I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you for covering for us. It's been a great season. It sucks that it's just about over, but that doesn't mean it ends for Toilets Titles. Our off season is busier than our on season. We have all kinds of dynasty information, all kinds of player information. We have all kinds of college information that comes to you. We have a ton of shows in the off season, so stick with us if you're still into fantasy football. That's better, George. I appreciate that background change. I'm going to leave it up to you guys if you guys want to say anything before we head out for the finals. I've got to set a couple lineups, but we've got a couple minutes, so go ahead, guys.
Stay safe.
Go
Stay
ahead,
safe. New Year's. have a good time with family and friends, but understand what you guys are doing at all times. Jason, I appreciate you, sir, for your hosting abilities that you gave us this year. And look, this time I promise, shots.
You mean you're going to do
Not
all the
with
shots?
us. He's not going with us. He's going to take lots of shots, just not with us, okay? He promises shots, just not with you guys.
George, anything
he's
to
gonna
close
find
out?
some other podcasters, be like, hey guys, come on over here with me. We'll do some shots. I'm not doing shots with these guys though.
George, you got anything you want to say besides shots?
Shots. No, on a serious note, I kind of want to echo what Rich did say. It is, I call it, and my wife calls it, professional amateur drunk night tonight. So if you go out with your friends and family and whatnot and you have a good time, please be responsible. Do not drink and drive. It could cost you, it could cost somebody else more than just a monetary fine or anything like that. Like, it could literally cost somebody their lives, and it's absolutely stupid and pointless to do. You can, if you're in a situation where you are too inebriated to drive, you can always call AAA nationwide. They will tow you, or they'll tow your vehicle, and they will give you a ride to a safe location. It will absolutely cost you nothing. That's 1-800-222-4357, I believe. It's 1-800-AAA-HELP. Please do not drink and drive. It's just not worth it when there's so many other options. I think Uber and Lyft, it may cost you a couple dollars, but it's going to cost you a lot less than if you decide to drink and drive. So please, again, as somebody who has been affected by drunk drivers within my family, do not drink and drive. Be responsible, have a good time, enjoy yourself. Let's kick off the New Year's right. I want to thank you guys for coming in, putting up with my nonsense pretty much all year long. And I look forward to bringing more nonsense in the off season and into the new year.
And Justin.
So George pretty much said everything that I was going to say about being safe and smart. So I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. We're trying to get out of here. So George had a very long-winded way of saying it, so I don't feel like I have a lot of time. But people, if you're in the comments still typing in questions, then hit us up on the Gilded, and you may not have time for that before your lineup start. You should already be in the Gilded because we have start sit questions there. So just hit us up with the DMs. We got at BFTG Jason, at Frito Bandito _FF, at George Reed FF, at Justin FF _, and we'll give you our answers that way.
And it also looks like they've been answered by the team member here in the comments. So we're not going to say it on the air because we're working on getting out of here. But Steven and George, play your answers, or your questions have been answered in the comments there. So so we got you that way at least. And then last thing I want to mention, of course, is patreon.com/toilets-titles. Started at $1.50 and work our way up. And then if you want in that Gilded chat, you can join by emailing toilets-to-titles@gmail.com. And with that, guys, we are going to get out of here. Good luck in your championships, and Happy New Year, guys.